Alright, so I am excited. I'm not sure you guys, okay, but I know I am excited. I have been planning to get him, to get Brother Kusyuk, okay, to get him speak for IDP class, okay. So if you ask me how far I know Brother Kusyuk, I can tell you that I only today I know his name is not Kusyuk. I only know today his name is Muhammad Kusukri. So I only met Brother Kusyuk from Twitter. So what really enticed me actually, to be honest, the way he shared a lot on app development. And then when I see it, CIE from IIUM, lagilah madam all excited and then trying to get hold of him. And from my very little correspondence with him, and I know that he actually has engaged before with iPrintis. Okay, there's actually a community engagement between UIA, Kuliah of Engineering, as well as students. So Brother Kusyuk has been actually involved with student development, community engagement with KOE basically. All right. So I don't really have much to say beside that. So I told Brother Kusyuk, okay, Brother Kusyuk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass you the microphone and let you introduce yourself, so that everyone can actually know who you are better, so that they can actually like in awe as much as I was. Okay, I am. All right, Brother Kusyuk, to you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thank you very much to Madam Amelia Wong, and also Kuliah of Engineering IUM for inviting me to give some sharing and insight thought about mobile app development. Okay, a brief introduction about me. I am alumni from UIA. I did my bachelor degree in CIE at 2013, and also master degree in electronic engineering. My experience in mobile app development start during 2015 when I became a freelance mobile app developer, and I also a solopreneur with passive income from mobile app. I did have working experience in Android development as an Android developer at FSR Technology, and currently I'm working on a startup in agritech. So these are a few of my app that I have published it at Google Play Store. Okay, that should I introduce more about myself or?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's up to you. I
Okay.
passed the microphone to you, so it's up to you.
Alright. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous right now because this is my first time doing a online streaming like this, and actually it's kind of awkward to speak alone in a room, in my room.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So we proceed to the actual agenda for today. But before that, is the sound clear? Okay. Is the sound clear? Is madam?
The sound is clear.
The sound clear?
Yeah,
Okay.
the sound is clear.
Okay. Before we start thinking about mobile app development, there are a few questions that we need to ask ourselves. Okay, the first one is why. Why you want to make a mobile app? So either for your own portfolio, to include into your resume, for your IDP, for obvious reason, you guys are seeking knowledge for the IDP, right? Client work, for example, freelancing, or for passive income. Why we need to ask this sort of question? Because the fundamental process to develop an app is quite similar, but there are several differences and additional process that need to be put into account for different type of objective. Okay, next one is what? What type of mobile app that you want to develop? Basically, there are two types. The first one is hardware related app. That's mean, do you want to make an app that communicate with hardware. For example, in IoT, that usually involves microcontroller, for example, Arduino or maybe ESP, and also a sensor. Another part is software as services, or we usually call it SaaS. Um, this type of app doesn't require high intensity hardware processing. For example, social media app, e-commerce like Twitter, Facebook. Um, this app it is more related to servers, database, server, backend, and also a front end. So there are two different routes that you need to consider when you want to develop uh, for for the both type of the app. Okay. Right now, this is the basic or the fundamental design flow or process in mobile app development. Okay, we start with ideation, and then we have a wireframing. Another part is mock-up, prototype or MVP. Next one is development and testing, and the last part is maintenance. Okay, I will explain more of right now. Okay, the first one is ideation. What is ideation? It is basically that a process where you draft all the functionality or possible feature of an app. So what you want to do, what you want to achieve from an app. Does it include a made social app? Does it include a profile? You want to make an app like a Uber or maybe a GrabFood or Food Panda. So at this stage, we just draft all that come up in our mind or in your team. Okay, in this phase, we also make a decision making for number one, technology stack. What is technology stack? It's all technical related that you will use. For example, do we need to go native or hybrid? Which framework that we need to use? Either it is Ionic or Flutter. Do we want to make the app online or offline? Does the app require database, or it independent or dependent with a third-party API? Um, Another part is a market survey. Market survey is usually for someone who want to make money out of the app. For example, either you want to make an app for passive income or you want to make a B2B application. B2B is basically a business to business. Example of B2B application is like GrabFood, where the most part of the business model, the revenue come from the interaction uh, from the seller, the food, groceries, or food provider, and the customer who want to buy the food. So the app is just a mediation between the two business, and you take some profit out of the service. Okay. The third point in decision making is the monetization of business strategy. Monetization is basically for those who want to make money out of the app. It has various what we call it, various strategies for monetization. Either you want to make a subscription based or user uh, one-time purchase app. For example, a paid version app that user need to purchase once, and then you have to provide the supports and services on all the maintenance for as long as you want the app to be available at the market. Or you want to make a free app. um, we call the free app is there is a term for free app. We call it freemium. That's mean the app is free to use, but it will cost you something. For example, your data, um, ads, and also in-app purchase, like to for example, in-app purchase, like you play a game, you want to unlock certain goods or skins. Okay, that is an example for that type of monetization. And the last part is the distribution channel. Distribution channel is you decide where you want to publish the app. Either you want to publish on your own server, that's mean user need to go to your website and download the APK or the installation file, or you want to distribute it to the official channel of for each operating system. For example, for Google, they have Google Play Store. For Apple, App Store. So all those things, you have to make decision at the earlier stage, which is the ideation stage, so that we can properly plan how we want um, to make our, what we call it, the whole progress of the app lah. Okay, next one. Oh, for if you see the picture, the proposal feature, that's how I made my own ideation. Some people prefer to write it on paper. Some people like to use anything lah, but I like to just make a text file and I list down all the features and anything that I think is should be a part of the app. Okay, the next phase is mockup and prototype or MVP. Okay, what is mockup? Mockup is a visual representation of wireframe, while prototype or minimum viable product is a working app with minimum functionality that represent the general idea of an app. So basically, a mockup um, is just a visual representation. Okay, should be wireframe. Oh, sorry, I skip it. Okay, wireframe. Wireframe is a 2D skeletal outline of app. It provides clear overview of an app structure, layout, user flow, functionality, and intended behavior. And we also implement UI design during wireframing. So what it means is wireframe is we just sketch out all the possibility um, of the whole application, the architecture of the application that you want to make, starting from when the user click the icon in the home screen. So what gonna happen? Should we navigate to um, login page, and then should we show the user um, some tutorial before the user start to use the app? um, Anything possible, anything related to your app flow, basically is the app flow and the structure.
All right, Kusyuk, if I
Okay,
may, I
yeah.
want to know, would you mind taking questions, or you want to wait at the end, or if the student wants to ask
I don't
any
mind, I don't
question?
mind. You
All
can
right.
ask
So
a question
students, if
anytime.
you have any questions, you may ask. Okay, like I think I saw someone raising his or her hand and then
Oh yeah.
hilang. So I think if you have any questions in between, I think since Brother Kusyuk that didn't mind, I think you can actually do that. Turn on your mic and ask the questions. Okay,
It's
yep.
okay. As
Correct.
is it
I
question?
think until we have the questions. Yeah, Brother Kusyuk, sorry. Yeah, you may
Okay.
proceed.
Okay. So during wireframing, what we do is actually we just make a raw sketch, or someone prefer to use an app to make this wireframing. So it up to you, but the general idea is you just sketch up an outline. Just doesn't need to be perfect, doesn't need to be, I mean, beautiful, or you put an theme or something. The most important part in during this stage of wireframing is the UX implementation. So what is a UX? That is another question. UX is user experience. That means how we want the user to experience our app. What is the most prominent functionality of the our as for our app, for the app, so that the user have the best experience. They don't feel frustrated, they don't feel confused, and they also don't feel uh, confused or clueless about the app. So at this stage, usually we carefully plan how to navigate. If you look at the diagram, the diagram here, it shows an example when the user click an icon, it navigate to the login screen or sign up, and then it proceed to the main screen. This is the main functionality of this app, for example lah. And then from the main screen, the user can navigate to various type of layout. This screen, we call it layout as a screen. Layout is a terminology in app development to represent a new screen or uh, new page. If anyone use with website development, we use the term page um, to represent a new screen or new navigation or new functionality. So in mobile app, the term layout is used to represent a new screen or new page. Okay, so that is the general idea of wireframing. Okay, next part is mockup, prototype, or MVP. Okay, like I said previously, mockup is a visual representation of wireframe. Sorry. That means we took this wireframe and then we visualize it into a nice looking mockup, a nice looking visual representation of that wireframe. For example, okay, hold on, then I will show you an example of the mockup.
So, Br Kusyuk, while waiting for
Here,
this to come up, is there a reason why you use Apple instead of Windows?
because I'm currently developing for iOS.
Okay.
Okay, but selingan before we we waiting for this to open. It doesn't matter if you want to use Windows or Apple to develop an app, especially if you decide to use hybrid approach. But the problem is when you want to distribute your app into an iOS or Apple ecosystem, you need to have a Mac because you need to compile, and then they have some user ID um, that required from Apple lah, before you can actually publish your app. Okay.
So there's a question, Brother Kusyuk,
Alright.
there's a question someone asked.
Hmm.
Why developer usually use Linux to build an app?
Nothing particular. I think just personal preference because you either OS, either Windows, Linux or Mac, you can do exactly the same. Actually, for special case like iOS lah. Um, but most probably they use Linux because of the environment, the Unix Linux kernel and terminal. Basically, the most programmer they are most familiar with that ecosystem, we can call it. Apart from that, nothing particular. You can, as long as you can install a certain IDE or certain framework that you want to use, it's okay. Maybe there are some performance issue. For example, your hardware is a bit old, and then Windows is a bit heavy, and then you want to switch to Linux for a better use of your machine. That is most of the cases lah. But for technical part, no, there's no difference. Okay, can we proceed?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. So on this screen, this is Adobe XD, a software that usually we use to create a mockup, and then okay, let me zoom a bit. Okay, if you can see, this is how we make mockup from the wireframe. There's little sketch of nothing particular. We visualize into something that makes sense in, especially in user perspective. how many screen are there, how the navigation of each page to each layout to each layout, and after that you can have something like this one lah. So what happened if the user click here, and then what happened, you can see this page, I click here and then it navigate to this pop-up dialog. And then so by making a mock-up, we don't need to go to develop the full functioning app to experience how the app actually and will work. So this phase is very useful, especially when we want to deal with clients during the earlier stage of the agreement. Um, Maybe you meet a client and then you discuss the idea, and then you say to the client, okay, I will come up with a mock-up so that we can have a um, general overview about the app that we gonna work. So by that you can actually discuss and come to an agreement. Okay, from your perspective for IDP, making a mockup is actually a good idea before you code your actual app. You can use this mockup to consult with your lecturer and then discuss. Should we discuss anything related with your IDP project? Either you want to add a new feature, either you want to put a new button, or anything related to that. Okay, clear?
Okay, is it only for this? You mentioned this is TuneBoss XP, is it? So
Yeah.
for Windows, what is the equivalent
No,
equivalent
the software is actually Adobe XD.
Adobe XD? All
Yeah,
right,
Adobe
okay,
XD. This
all right.
TuneBoss is actually just a project that I want to show.
Ah, I see.
Uh,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. What is the difference between prototype or MVP? Prototype or MVP is a minimum viable product. That means we actually code the app, but with a very minimum function or feature that represent the general idea of the app. So,
Brother
uh,
Kushuk have another question from a
ah,
student.
okay.
He said,
Yep.
how long usually does it take to build a full mockup like you did this?
Depend on your skills actually, but for this type of mockup, it take me about 2-3 days.
2-3 days, Hanis.
2-3 days. If if
How
you
many altogether? Oh my
apa?
god. So how many other the your full mockup for 2 to 3 days? How many other?
Uh, about few puluh je.
10 je. Okay,
Puluh je.
sorry lah. Hanis, you still have to do it lah macam ni.
Ah,
Madam nak suruh juga Hanis buat macam ni. Alright,
okay.
right. Yeah, proceed. Yeah, you may proceed. Yep.
Okay. So for the MVP is actually you code, you make an app, but without the hustle to go for extra feature like UI or anything. It's just a bare bone app. Faham tak?
Okay.
Okay. MVP Okay, during the phase UI implementation, refine UX, graphic asset, theming. So in working situation, working if you work, there are UI UX designer and also UI UX developer who will make this, who will cater this part lah. That's their job lah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Next part is development and testing. Development is the actual technical process that you need to do to in order to make the app. Um, this one related with your decision making. Either which technology stack that you want to use. So in this stage, for example, if you want to go native, so everything related with technical issue in that native environment, uh, this is the stage that you have to struggle to make it works. So so depend if you have a mockup, so you make your app based on your mockup, or if I have made an MVP, for example, you join a hackathon and you want to show the minimum functionality of the app, and then you make the app in development process, you proceed to polish the app, debugging, add additional function and such. Okay, during this phase, aside from technical implementation, to make a working mobile app, there are things that usually we put into consideration and works. Okay, the point number two is mostly point number two is for a company and also for a developer that want to monetize the app to public. Okay. 2A, distribution at market registration, preparation, signature build. Okay, what does it mean? If you decide to distribute your app to the official distribution channel at market, for example, Google Play Store or iOS app market app store. Okay, app store. So you need to prepare the technical part, pay the fees for Google is $25 once, and for Apple is around $99 every year. That's one for small company. For big company, it require almost 500 USD per year.
Every year? I thought
Yeah,
it's
per year.
off. It's not one off?
One hour is for Android.
Ah,
For iOS is really expensive. That's why you need to pay mahal lah, mahal. Okay, and then preparing a signature build. Signature build is actually we what we call it we we put our trademark on the installation file so that the app market know who are the developer, and also during this process we include the uh, encryption, some sort of key, so that your app is traceable across the internet, because
but
they
when
are
you have to do
yeah
it, you have to encrypt yourself or there is
no you, we use the IDE,
okay. Alright.
the development tool.
Development is to encrypt.
uh,
Okay.
I will show a few example after this, inshallah.
Alright.
Okay, so this next part is the debugging and testing. Okay, usually we have these three stage: alpha, beta, production, release. Okay, what it mean is alpha is a closed testing environment. Let's say you develop an app for your IDP, and then you don't finalize the whole app, so you ask your friend to test. Okay, maybe your supervisor to test, and then get feedback and debug if there's error, there's or something. Okay, beta is the same as alpha, but it open to public. So a huge number of tester is involved lah, basically, and for production is the final release. So we release to the app market. Anyone everywhere around the world that have internet access, they can find your app, they can download and test. The number C, monetization strategy. Monetization strategy is sorry, basically for person who want to make money from the app lah. Things that we consider is the ad network. Do you want to use AdMob? Do you want to use Facebook ad network or any others type of ad services? So another part is the ad implementation strategy. Mediation. Mediation is actually we use more than one ad network. So yeah, I can explain this later after this if you want. And another one is IAB, which is in-app billing. People pay for your app either by subscribe or they pay to purchase something or some goods in your apps. Okay, D and E is very crucial for people who want, for a developer who want to publish their app on their own, or you want to make a company and make your app as a product. Okay, privacy policy compliance is very crucial. Different country apply different policy, and for example the EU and GDPR compliance, that that's it actually rules for how much sensitive data that we allow um, third party or ourselves to collect from the user. Um, this part is actually something like Facebook or WhatsApp. The latest WhatsApp scandal in privacy policy, it is something related to this. So what type of data that the developer collect, and how can we come to an agreement so that everyone is happy, everyone can proceed with their life happily. Okay, the another part is a privacy prevention and security. Okay, this one is very important if you want your app to be secure and from especially from hacker, reverse engineer. Uh, you want to prevent reverse engineer, someone reverse engineering your app. Either they can steal um, your ID or sensitive data, or they can replace your ads ID with their own, and then whenever ads whenever there's ad view in your app, the person get the money but not you. Okay, so that's one E. For the last part is okay, for software development methodology such as Scrum, Waterfall, Agile, etc. Okay, that's one usually depending on the project or the client or your own distribution channel, because you guys taking software engineering subject, right? Ada yang
Uh, I think third year, not yet. Yeah.
third year, not yet.
I think I'm not sure because I know previously was Prof Shihab was teaching software engineering.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, isn't it? Prof Shihab
Yeah,
kan? So there's
since
still.
that
Ah,
before.
this is before, but I think he left. If you're unaware,
Yeah.
he left. Okay, fourth year, first semester baru. Nah, you Amin cakap fourth year, first semester baru belajar.
Okay, so basically the software development methodology is a methodology on how we develop the phases, like Scrum or Waterfall, Agile. Mean how you structure your project. Should we do this one first? Should we do this one first? How can we? Should we illiterate this testing? Those things. In real world, in real life, there's no, fixed law to that. It it usually memang depending on the project or the client. Some client they just want to hire you to continue an app. So you might go with agile methodology at that time. There are client that want to want to hire you for the first time, and then they certify and want to rehire you, and maybe you can use waterfall strategy methodology. Okay, we proceed with the what we call in IT controversial topic in mobile app because people really fighting and argue with each other lah. uh, which one the best, native or hybrid? Okay, so if you look at the screen, at the diagram, mobile app technology stack. Sorry. Okay. Native, hybrid, web app. The truth is, you can have all three producing the same exact uh, functionality that you want, but there are certain advantage and disadvantage for each approach. For example, if you look at the native app, uh, We start with operating system and devices, and then our app. There is no mediation or wrapper here. Um, we all learn apa yang subjek dia. Most of us is electronic student, right? And we
Yeah, and
know
CIE comp. Yeah,
high level programming language,
yeah.
low level, and then there are firmware, and
Mm-hmm.
then last sekali there uh,
Machine,
last sekali
machine,
apa?
machine code, kan?
Machine code lah. The entry is binary code 0101. Okay,
Yes. Uh-uh.
and then things that you need to consider when you develop app that differentiate from developing a website is mobile app hardware. The smartphone is very, there are a lot of type, there are a lot of capability, there are a lot of specs of smartphone out there, especially in Android. There are phone that have 1 gig of RAM, there are phone that have a 16 gig of RAM, there are phone that have an outdated OS, there are phone that have maybe the highest spec, the flagship, or some that call flagship killer smartphone. So as an app developer, if you took into consideration the hardware, these are some of the these are one of most diagram that you need to put into consideration before you choose which type of approach you want to use. Okay, native, no intermediate, just your app directly to the hardware. So memory management, good. How you want to what you call it? How you want to manage the session with resource management, like the trading, the CPU usage of the smartphone. We have this one they call background trading. That's mean how can you sort your app process. For example, you want to communicate to an IoT device via Bluetooth. So how can you make an architecture for that connection that suit your the smartphone? If you are not properly plan this thing, there could be an issue if a person with the most high spec smartphone use your app. There's no problem. But when someone with a lower spec use your app, there will be a lot of error, and and mostly app not respond issue lah, mean your app crash or something like that. So for hybrid, the idea of hybrid is you use any type of programming language, you you wrap it inside a native wrapper app. So basically your app, your code, the highest level of your code being translated to a native language, and then that native language we will communicate to the operating system and device. So it got an additional step here. Imagine if your the user smartphone is an outdated smartphone that have low CPU. This process might lag. Okay, another part is web app. Web app is just a browser lah. People just connect to internet and then they can use the app. Okay, proceed. Okay, this is just my own summary between native and hybrid. If you want to make an app that require high intense hardware interaction, for example, app that communicate with microcontroller, or app that require a lot of sensor interaction with sensor, either sensor from the app itself or it communicate to another app via sensor. For example, you want to make an app that have Bluetooth mesh network, or you want to use a BLE module inside the app to communicate or advertise the app to the surrounding. So that type of apps, native development approach have better performance compared to the hybrid. because another point is native is more optimized for low end smartphone, and then better security. Okay, another part is for hybrid. Mostly the advantage of hybrid is related with go to market. Go to market ni um, including how fast you can produce an app or your product to the market, how fast, how low is the ROI. I mean the cost related to develop, and yeah, basically that lah. Rapid prototyping and cost efficient, because most people know hybrid is one code base to multiple platform. So that's one, you don't need to hire native developer for each platform. Okay, but it doesn't really suitable for all cases. Okay, maintenance. Okay, last part of the process is the maintenance lah. Mostly this part is mostly related with your job. If you are a worker, and then you just do your job based on your job scope. If you work with clients, it based on your NDA, the non-disclosure agreement between you and your client. And for someone who make a passive income out of mobile app, as long as you want to make money, you need to keep improving, keep expanding your app, and keep maintaining until you satisfy lah with your income. So example okay, we go through some example. Example. Okay. Boleh nampak
Ya, nampak.
Should I full screen? Okay. This is a project that I made with SRC. You guys don't have SRC anymore, right?
Ada kan? I thought we still have
Tak ada
it.
saja.
Oh, really?
Student union.
They have
Yeah,
student
oh,
union.
student union.
Okay, what's this app do? Actually, this app is for um, we want to reconnect, not reconnect. We want to give an easy access for the student with SRC, so that anything happen, student doesn't need go to IUM online and post their problem there. So you can directly contact SRC and some additional feature that we include in the app. So if you look here, the overview of the Suda app, this is basically the ideation process, what you want to put in the app. So you got several features, and you can see that they have a SRC feed, a news from the SRC, and another page is for the student to file a report. Then another one is basically the uh, contact number, contact number to all available phone number in IUM, including daya bersih, security guard, and so on. Okay. Mana? Okay. Okay, a little bit about this app. Because this app is not a fun. We don't have fun to make this app. I made this app voluntarily. So we cannot afford to buy a database to host. Basically, we don't have money to for the server to host all the I mean the reports, student report, and so on. So what I did is actually I use Google Sheet API. That's mean Sheet Google. So what I mean, I modified this Sheet API. Hold on.
So who's doing the attendance? I think you can actually get some idea. from this side.
Okay, this one I am SRC feedback response. Is this is just a spreadsheet that hosts in Google spreadsheet. So what it does is actually this act as a database for IAM Studa.
But how does the information goes to the, or is
Okay.
it just for viewing? So the student union SRC at that point when you are running it, or is it still running? Is
Yeah,
it?
it is still running, but the problem is um, when we rely our app to a third party API application apa tak nama, sorry I forgot. So this mean API is some another party that provide a service, so we just take advantage and use their services. For example, this one is Google Sheet, so I don't need to go to to buy hosting or to buy a database like Firebase or something like that, and then in order for me to build my own cloud storage database. Okay, so I can make a new spreadsheet from my Google account, and then everyone can gain access of this data for free. Okay, but the downside is um, it highly what we call it dependent with uh, the service provider, because right now we cannot use this API because Google has shut down this feature.
Hmm.
So to relate with our our presentations today, the ideation. So you need to put into consideration this type of problem. Either the approach that you choose is independent or dependent, because anything can change by time. Okay,
Okay.
alright. That's one. For example, with Studa. So basically, you draft up all the ideas. Take note what approach that you want to do, and then come up with um, a minimum viable product or prototype, present, come to agreement, and then start develop. Okay, another example is this app. Um, this app is an offline travel guidebook for GPTD and NGO. So what it does, this type of app, it doesn't require any database or anything related with online or cloud services. It's just an app that show you information. That's it. So, um, so for example, this type of app, you can actually make it. It doesn't matter which approach that you use. You want to use either hybrid or native. But for this kind of app, it is advisable to use hybrid lah, because the cost is very cheaper. The cost is cheaper from the native. Okay, and should I show another example? Or? Okay, here you can see the um, wireframe or the raw cache flow of this app. Okay, okay. Last part is the challenges. We have a technical related problem. Um, this type of problem related with the framework or IDE or the SDK that you choose. Either you want to make native or hybrid. One of them is a deprecated issue, and then another one is a minimum requirement for app market. Deprecated issue is actually the method that's not being used. For example, deprecated issue. For example, if you look at this screen, this is a build grader. This one is a native development approach. We have this build 2 version. We have this minimum SDK, target SDK version. What this mean? SDK is software development kit. It is software. I mean, it is a collective methodology for provided by the framework or the IDE or the main provider of the method that you choose. So let's say that in version 31, for example, version 31, Google decided to change some method, and then you can no longer use that method. Or Google decide to stop support for Java, and then they want to go full Kotlin. At that time, you cannot use the same code that you code before um, to proceed or to make a new project or to provide a new maintenance. Sekejap developer deprecated. Okay. Okay. This one is one of the example. Contohlah deprecated genlock. Okay, this one is a business Google My Business API. So usually they hold on, I think I need to Google the time. Okay, for example, you say this. This API was turned down in January 2019 and is deprecated. That means you cannot use this API after 2019. And then another part of it, um, you can't use this method. I mean this, for example, we took like katakanlah okay, this one navigation drawer. This one is an API from Google. We include the library here, we import here, fragment, all this thing, all this import is actually we reuse the API and also a library from Google or a third party, maybe from GitHub or something. So if they decide um, to change something, so you might not able to use all this code again. Okay, in this situation, you have to provide a new update, or else your app cannot be published um, at the app market. Okay, is that clear? Yeah, if anyone have a question, just ask.
Yes, I think you guys should ask question. Okay, so I have one here. Whether
Okay.
Khairul asks, what
Okay.
language to use for the coding in Android Studio?
Because for most of my project, I use Java because I developed the project before Kotlin been introduced to by Google. But for a new app, um, is a mix of both. Sometimes use Java, sometimes use Kotlin. Is that okay?
Any other questions? I think especially you do not want to know how to start, because Br Kusyuk, I think some of them, I think as of semester, I think a lot of the students actually use the one that drag and drop one.
Um,
How is that? How is that?
ni
Is they say it's quite easy to just drag
MIT
and drop.
MIT Inventor.
Cannot remember the name, but they mentioned that they just use that, which they say is quite easy compared to because you are hard coding everything. Okay, so for their level, okay, do they requires all the hard coding?
So it's okay. It's okay. You can use any platform, anything that you find it easy for you lah. For example, this one MIT. MIT mana tu eh? MIT is just a drag and they call it block programming or something like that. It's all about drag and drop. You can use this, but um, like I said before, during the ideation phase, awak lag sangat.
I think for IDP boleh lah kan? Boleh lah. Huh?
Depend on the end product that you want to produce. If the MIT app inventor have all the library that can function the exactly that you want, then it's okay. During the ideation, you decide which one, which approach that you want to use. Because MIT app inventor ni, it has some limitation. For example, if you want to make custom workflow, what type of example can I give? For example, you want to make a data processing inside the app. If you find a solution for MIT, then it's okay. But you must ask yourself another question: will it perform well? Is it because MIT is basically hybrid lah, hybrid approach, and if you see here, okay, if you make an app that require high intense hardware interaction, for example, you want to process a set of data from your sensor, PIR or proximity sensor or something like that, and then you want to process it. If you use MIT, if the MIT happen to have the functionality to make that, and then you found out it works for your purpose, maybe you just want to use that to present during your IDP. It's okay, use that. Don't don't waste your time learning from something new for you. Don't waste your time like that. But if you want to make a polished app that anyone can use, you want to publish, you want to make money from that, don't use MIT, because one of that is the performance. Another one is the limitation. For example, okay, if you have this type and you think it is okay to use, then use lah. Another one is the agreement. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure about that. I think there's some sort of fair use that you can or cannot publish your app by using this one for commercial app, not just publish your app at Play Store and people download. It means commercial means you actually make business or you actually make money from the app. Because some platform they kind of strict those rules lah. I mean, some require you to pay extra before you can publish. For example, in game Billboard, if I'm not mistaken, Billboard. Billboard. Okay, Billboard ni is a framework for you to make an app and also game, but mostly for game. You can use this tool for free, and but if you want to publish your game, you need to pay certain amount. This pricing here, and also for Unity, you want to remove certain like a watermark or something, you need to pay for that. For MIT, I think apply the same situation like that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Another question?
Okay, there's I think there are more of like personal questions.
Okay.
Uh, Number one is I think more personal as in one of the questions Shafiq was asking quite early in the beginning of this session. He was asking, tell us about your app more. I think he assumed that he wants to know more about your app. And may I actually link to one more question which come from Amin. He said, how do you sell yourself? I mean, the start of your journey in app development. So that's two questions. I combined it to one, which I felt that somewhat related for you to answer.
How can what was the question? No, my app and then
So how do you sell yourself? Like for example, like how do you get your 10,000, nearly 11,000 Twitter followers, for
oh
example? How do you?
oh
I mean, I know, but he actually put it. I mean, at the how do you start your journey in app development? Why do you start?
okay.
Why do you do app development?
First thing first, I start doing this app development because of money lah. Because I was doing my master and then I need to find a good business that has balance, a work life balance. Some So I found out mobile app is something that suit for my life at that time lah. My workflow, workload from master, and then my family, of family matters, and then also I have several experience. Okay, get back. Okay, I rephrase that. Actually, I start develop app during software engineering class during Sir Shihab class. So he asked us, he asked the class, okay, we're gonna make a project, so you are free to make anything that you want. So at that time is I think around 2012, something like that. So 2012, and then me and my friend, we try to discover this mobile app development on ourselves. There's no such thing as native or hybrid. Everything is native that time, and we managed to make our own app for that class, and that is the starting point of my journey, if you call it journey, in mobile app development. So fast forward to during my master, and then I got some financial issue, and I found out that I can actually generate money from the app in two ways. The first one is by being a freelancer, and another part is just making my own app. If you can see my profile here, okay, I publish my app here, and also I uh, take a job. How do I find client is basically by advertising myself inside a IT group. Uh, because there are a lot of people who a client client basically asking for who want to we got this project, who want to pitch idea they can what. So to answer the question, how do I advertise myself? Basically two way, uh, two ways that I took. First one, I made my own app. I publish it at Google Play. I make a developer profile here. So by making your own online portfolio like this one, you actually indexing your name and self to the internet. Um, if you remember when I say about fair use of sensitive data, Google Yahoo, and all sort of Facebook also. They have this algorithm to make a profile of all things in the internet. So you just put your name, make a GitHub profile, make publish your app, make a website. So indirectly, you advertising yourself to the internet. And then when clients that use services, for example, the LinkedIn um, service to find candidate for job, or to hire a freelance, or maybe a freelance profile, a freelance site like Fiverr, freelancer, and what I cannot remember others. So when you make your own online profile, and then your name, your portfolio has been indexed by the algorithm, they can actually easily found you and then contact you directly lah, either via your email or phone number. Is that I'm answering the question correctly or not? Medan tak dengar.
Alright, so yeah. I mean, tak ada. Okay, Amin said good enough. Alright.
Good now. Alhamdulillah.
Alright, I think Hadi asked, is it better to use Java instead of Python for coding? Now, I mean, the transition, I think we can see the way, the shift in the programming languages. So, what?
Python, actually, to make an app from Python is quite bizarre, because among the developer, the debate is usually related with hybrid and native, and that including the language for that framework. But yes, because today you can actually make app with any language. Golang you can make app, Python you can make app, JavaScript, TypeScript, Dart, any language is possible to make an app. But the question is always related with this first page, the ideation, what you want to achieve. Then you decide which one you prefer. Because if you ask me, personally, I don't stick myself to one type of programming language. I don't do that. What I learn is I learn how to read code. I learn how to the design thinking is very crucial. I mean, how you uh, evaluate from an idea into a code. Anything else, if you try to master these skills, you may find out any language is basically the same. The difference is the syntax, um, and then maybe there's some advantages like what they call it, memory or null pointer, something like that. That one's are just a minor, um, but the core idea is don't stick yourself into one programming language. Be flexible. If you know how to read code, if you know how design thinking works, and then you just take your time um, and have your own learning curve in learning a new language. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think it's 309. I think let me make this the last question. What
Okay.
would you recommend for a beginner? PyTorch 10, again, some tips. What you recommend for beginner? He mentioned three: PyTorch, TensorFlow, or Keras.
PyTorch, TensorFlow, that's one related to machine learning, right?
So Shahril, you wanna?
You want to make an app or you want to focus on machine learning?
Yeah. So is it general question? Yes, as in yes. For programming app, or what is it, Shahril?
Uh-huh.
For app. Okay.
For app,
Yes, app.
for app, my advice to sorry.
With
Uh,
hardware, okay, when they have, like just now when you mentioned, when there's a connection between, from the app and then
uh-huh.
dedicate to components. So he is talking, what would you recommend for for a beginner to do app development that connects to components, hardware.
Hardware. I will go to native.
Okay, so you're
Okay.
going native and then?
Okay. Because native have a good library, and then you don't need to bother with a minor issue like latency or something like that. You just follow, especially Google, because if you go to developer, uh, Google provide a good documentation for you to learn. Just go to learn, and then go to this one, Kotlab. Basically, you can find almost anything related to uh, okay, apart from this Kotlab, what I would suggest for a beginner is to follow an online tutorial. There is this method that I learned. Uh, I learn to learn in order for me to learn
Oh,
a skill, a learning skill actually. A learning skill is a modulation, or they call it segmentation in programming. You uh, you go to your ideation and your basically your wireframing lah. So you take a look closer. Wait, okay. You take a look carefully. Look at each functionality, and then you segmentize those function. For example, kan, let's say this login screen. Okay, um, this one page is actually a combination of several, we call it several function. Login, how you log in, how to connect with database, and so on. So you make a new project, focus on uh, how to achieve those function, and then you combine. Then individual command and then combine. That is how I learn. Basically, how I learn to code lah. But for the um, approach, either you want to use a native hybrid or Python or something like that. That one depend on your learning curve. Try various framework, or try online tutorial. If you want to go native, refer Google Colab. There are tons of tutorial here, and then they also have an estimation how long you took. You actually took for the tutorial. Everything is provided in the here lah. Okay.
Kusyuk, we have one. Ni ada request
Okay.
nanti. There's one tapi dia nak buka microphone. Dia kata nak text, nak tulis in the text will be difficult for her. So later there's one more question for you.
Okay.
Right. Hanis, I think Kusyuk, you want to show something or?
Oh yeah. Okay. Just add a little bit. This one, Google Colab. For example, you want to implement Google Map. Just click on this. Sorry, internet slow. Okay, basically, the Google provide from A to Z all you need to learn. What is the fundamental
Yes.
key point to learn, and
Hmm.
even those build grader that mostly people who want to do native, they got stuck in this build grader. Actually, build grader is just a versioning code for the SDK, the build engine to build the Android app. So you can read you can test out.
Yeah, I think those of you who needs GPS in your app, okay, definitely this is where you go. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, you will get a certificate if you manage to finish all these courses. This is actually an online course
Yeah,
provided
nice.
by Google.
All right.
Okay, question?
Okay, Hanis. Quickly, it's already 3:16. Actually, there's one more thing that I requested from Brother Kusyuk actually. So I think Hanis, we take from you, and then hopefully we have time to squeeze one more items that I requested personally from him. Okay, Hanis?
Okay, thank you, madam. So I just want to ask, for an app, there are many layouts, right? So
Layout? Yeah.
for the coding, the back end coding, how do you, is it like coding each layout in a file and then import them into a main file that contains all the coding, or how?
Okay, basically in mobile app, there are two parts. First one is layout. Second one is your logic code dah. You call it this one semua boleh nampak kan? This one Okay, main activity .java. .java is actually you can call it backend but not backend like a backend server. It's just backend for the app. So anything your logic function, how your app flow, how your what implementation, your features, it reside here in Java. If you if you see this part, the most left part, they have Java or Kotlin if you use Kotlin, and below is the res, the resources. Then you have a layout. Okay. What I'm showing you guys here is a traditional approach of mobile app development, especially in native, because in hybrid we have the declaration layout. That means you don't need a separate view between the logic code and the layout code. So this one, the extension is .xml. It is the same as a website that you have CSS for the interface,
Yeah.
and then for the backend, and then maybe you choose JavaScript, HTML, depend lah. So this is basically your graphic, the buttons, your layout. Do you want to make it for tablet variant or just want to make it for mobile? So you can make it like that. Is it okay? Is it or do you need further explanation?
Got the idea.
Got the
Thank you,
idea?
Hanis. Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Hanis, for the question. Yeah, and thank you, Brother Kushuk. All right. I just want to highlight. I think right now I would like to shift everyone's attention. I think the reason why, what makes me pretty much excited to have Brother Kushuk actually speak with you guys also. Okay, there's another side of him, which I think I think you heard him mentioning that the reason, one of his motivation to actually deploy himself in app development is to gain some money, and he did mention a little bit family matters. And what interesting, and then I think he has his history, which I felt that he has something to actually share his advice, perhaps, okay, with you guys. Okay, you guys still younger than him. Okay, I'm so much older. So, but I think that when you listen to your peers, perhaps you can actually like gain more insight from him. So I think I requested Brother Kushu if you can actually give an advice to my fellow students about life. I think he has, but I think although I am older, but I think he has gone through much more. Okay, so I think with that, I think Brother Kushu, if I may request an advice, and then so that we can actually like wrap this session up.
Okay, short advice. Um, how to say? Okay. The thing is in life, we believe in Islam, right? We okay. If you have read this book, or you know about this fifth awlawiyat, this is actually a section in fiqh that teach us how can we set our mindset so that we can prioritize our life in accordance with Islam. Because the thing is, our life, we are born differently. You have problem, I have problem. You have this affair, I have this affair. Allah might test us differently. Also, you you might be born in a good family. You might be born in a not so good family, and then once you graduate, um, we are a Muslim first before our career. So there are time in life where we need to make sacrifices in order we can how we call it we can prioritize our akhirat more. So in this fiqh awlawiyat, if you can find a book or a teacher to teach you, please do so, because this subject really, I mean, it really redefine my fikrah or worldview, how I can sort things and according to that favor in my akhirah. Because for example, if you guys take Gen, right?
Yeah, Gen courses, Unicore.
Also Gen, right? And okay, in Gen, there are subtopic that we discuss about conflict. I'm not sure the current syllabus is, but at my time, by Sir Abdi, we always discuss about a conflict of interest, either between our career during works and also during how we find source of income. So if you don't be careful, you might get trapped with the things that make you far away from the deen. Because there are a lot of my friends, the juniors also, when they graduate, they become less Islamic. Their priority become more dunya. And then some of them even they abandon their family for the sake of their own career. If I can share my motivation, I'm not from a good family member. I have trial a lot of trial related with family. So and at the same time, I got a lot of offer to pursue my career and also for my academic. I got scholarship for PhD. I got a job that offer a high salary. But my situation is I need to prioritize my family, because if I'm not, something bad gonna happen. So what I need, because I learned this fiqh awlawiyat, it really took a toll on myself especially to make a decision in order to sacrifice all the nikmah that in front of me and prioritize my family. You can also learn this from our Sirah Nabawi, and also from the if you know the Sirah about what is, apa nama dia, yang a person who prioritize his mom. I forgot about that. So the thing is, put try to learn to prioritize things, put our deen first, and then put our dunya, because there are a lot of challenging. For example, if I can share to you, one of the challenge that I face in making a passive income from mobile app is a monetization. It is easy, very easy to earn haram money from mobile app, either from ads or from a job. I've been approached by a company that they want to hire me to make an app for the LGBT community, and also an app that has gambling inside the app. So it's up to you. If you don't have a good fikrah you don't know how to prioritize things, you might lose something for your own akhirat. I think that's it. That's it.
Oh, mashallah. Thank you so much for the question.
Okay.
Okay, I also remember the same thing, which I actually got from during my time for undergraduate also. It said, imagine your life. Okay, your life. You are in a very dark place. There is only one pole of light. Okay, one lamp pole, one post, and then with a lamp on it. And then the lamp is your akhirat. Okay, the shadow is the dunya. If you run towards the lamp, and until you are beneath your shadow will be underneath your feet. But if you stray away from the lamppost, you go away from the light, your shadow will be much more further.
So
It's, in a way, I think I can relate to Br Kusyuk. If you chase akhirat, you're chasing along with your niyyah. Thank you, Brother Kusyuk. I think thank you so much, everyone. You guys have been brilliant. Okay, I know you have class. Again, thank you so much. Can we have a group photo, please? I hope I want to get this. Can I have everyone to turn on their camera just for a bit? Kusyuk, can you turn off the sharing and then so that we can see everyone?
Okay.
Can I see everyone? Okay. Is it everyone is here? Can you turn on your camera so that guys? Boleh ke? Okay, Syafiq, I see Hafiz. Okay, macam mana madam Macam mana madam nak muatkan large gallery preview? Okay, madam tengok. So madam tak biasa sangat Teams ni. Alright, I think the rest, because you guys need to leave, I'm going to count until 10 je. Lepas 10, lepas tu angkat gambar tengok. Hi Jiman. Jiman rasa got program apa Jiman? Hi Fadil. You're sitting next to me.
Yes, madam.
Jom. Okay, can we snap a photo? Jap, let me see. There's only the rest tak nampak. The rest tak buka kamera, I assume. Just to have it then. Okay, jap. Smile to the camera. Ada je 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, Arifah baru masuk. Cam tak ada. Tak apalah. Alright. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Alright, kejap. Let me just Hansik, alamak, Balkis lighting very very high lighting. Okay, baru nampak. Okay, tadi tak ada. Okay, kap. I have to take another one. Tadi tak nampak muka Balkis. Okay, Nick, 1, 2, 3. Look at the camera. Sekejap, mana madamnya punya screen? 1, 2, 3. Nice. Dia tak ada page lain pula ni. Didn't see Syahrin. Alright, okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Alright, thank you so much. Thank you everyone. Shall we end with tasbih kafarah and surah Al-As.
All the best everyone for your studies.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All the best. Belajar.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.